Hello to everyone out there in YouTube world and IG land. This is Makeda Valletta. I'm Makeda Valletta, also known as the Body Scientist. And in case you are unfamiliar with my background, I am a sports scientist, an exercise physiologist, and a sports nutritionist. And I have a holistic approach. So today I'm going to talk about some nutrition stuff, okay? In particular, sugar cravings, how to beat sugar cravings. A lot of people are addicted to sugar, and a lot of people by now know and understand that sugar is the devil. Sugar is the root of all evil. And for those of you who follow my work, you know I love to talk about fat. And fat is my favorite macronutrient to speak about because you have fat, protein, and carbohydrates. Those are our macronutrients, where we get our calories, the energy. And fat is the one that is the most misunderstood, where everybody thinks fat is so bad. But when you have less fat, people add sugar. When you have less fat, you get more sugar because fat gives things flavor, okay? Fat gives things flavor. And usually the fats that people think are healthy fats, the fats that people think that are healthy fats are usually the ones that are not healthy, like the canola oils, the safflower oil, the soybean oil, the sunflower oil, the canola oil. All of those fats are very bad for you. Those are the fats that cause heart disease and inflammation. So things like butter and the olive oil, the fats that are in beef fat, duck fat, lard, all that gives things flavor. And so now we have this whole low fat craze that probably began in the 80s maybe. If we look at people in the 70s and 60s, like nobody was fat. Now we have an obesity problem and we have this low fat thing going on, right? And so when you remove the fat, the food companies add more sugar. So for example, all over the country, all over the United States, you have these low fat yogurt places, these frozen yogurt places that exist everywhere. And they have a lot of sugar in them. If you look at the amount of sugar, they've had to put the sugar in it to substitute for the fat not giving it flavor. Now, the fat is important because you need the fat to digest the protein. You need the fat for your fat-soluble vitamins. And the fat also helps to control your blood sugar. Okay, so let's talk about dealing with sugar addictions. Because eating a lot of sugar is not good for you. Like it's for some people, it might make you fat. For somebody else, it might give you cancer. For somebody else, it might cause severe inflammation inside your body because heart disease, all of that stuff is caused by inflammation. Sugar is highly inflammatory. Sugar is what's behind diabetes. People like to blame diabetes on pork chops and stuff, and it's like, no. Nobody gets diabetes from eating too much pork chops. They get diabetes from eating too much sugar, too much bread, too much flour, too much sugar, okay? And so this is the reason why even juice is not so healthy as people think. All kind of depends on if the juice is freshly squeezed. It depends on who's drinking it and when, right? So we definitely want to get off of the sugar addictions. And as a nutritionist who has been working with clients this is 2019, for at least 16 years, I've had to help a lot of people with this. And one thing that I will tell you, it starts with your gut, number one, okay? No matter how much you try to stop being addicted to sugar, as long as you have intestinal dysbiosis, which is an imbalance of bacteria in your gut, and I have YouTube videos where I talk about that. I have 2 videos on gut health and probiotics. But when you have an imbalance of bacteria in your gut, so you have a lot of bad bacteria as opposed to good bacteria, which most people, that's the case. It's very likely that that's where you are if you're not taking probiotics on a regular basis, if you're not eating fermented foods on a regular basis, if you're eating regular, stuff from the commercial food industry, using antibacterial soap, then you have an imbalance, okay? And the good and bad bacteria, I talk about this in my probiotic videos, and I highly suggest you take a look at them because it's critically important to understand. Probiotics is your primary line of defense against all infectious disease, but it is also plays an important role with your digestion and other things in your immune system. So good bacteria and bad bacteria cannot survive in the same environment. So if you have a lot of bad bacteria, it creates an environment that's welcoming to that bad bacteria. And one of the things that feeds bad bacteria and yeast is sugar. Okay, so if you have an imbalance of bacteria, and sometimes your body could be telling you that because you might keep getting infections. If you get colds a lot, or flus, even twice a year, or you any kind of infection that you might get, anytime you get any kind of infection, you have an imbalance of bacteria. And some people have skin problems. If you have really bad acne, or you just have weird things going on with your skin, boils, like stuff like that, all of that is coming from an imbalance of bacteria in your gut. So there's a lot of things that can manifest in your body when you have this imbalance. Some people are gassy, like farting all the time and burping all the time is not normal. Like, there's people I know who are always farting and burping. It's like, what's going on inside of you? People that have bowel problems, they're constipated, all of that are signs of gastrointestinal imbalance of bacteria. So when you have a lot of bad bacteria, what happens is they secrete their own substances that control you, and they cause you to crave sugar. Because remember, bacteria are living organisms. So bacteria are living organisms that are inside of our body. We have more bacterial cells in our body than we do actual body cells, okay? So there's a lot of bacteria in our gut, trillions of them. So when you have this imbalance of bacteria, the bad bacteria secrete hormones and things that cause you to crave sugar. And no matter how much you try to fight it, you won't be able to overcome it. It like takes over you, right? So you could be like, I'm trying to be really good. I'm not trying not to eat this sugar. Willpower will not overcome the imbalance of bacteria. So number one, you've got to take a high dose of probiotics, a very good quality supplement, probiotic supplement. And the one that I have stuck to over all these years that I feel like is the best in the market is one made by a company called Garden of Life. Garden of Life. Definitely take a look at my other videos where I get more into probiotics. And I will do a video just on how to, like the 3 top supplements, because I don't really believe in supplements, but there are sometimes that people have to take certain supplements like probiotics, like cod liver oil, but still you need to understand how to identify what's a good product and what's not. So I will do a video soon on that. But Garden of Life, that's the absolute best brand, and you can get it on Amazon. Most Whole Foods sell it. But you need a high dosage of probiotics. And when I say high dosage, probiotics come in the like, when you buy pills, it'll be like 2 billion CFUs, which is colony forming units. So it'll say there's 2 billion, they do it by strains and by billions of colony forming units. So one supplement might say we have 3 different strains of bacteria, and each pill has 5 billion colony forming units, right? The Garden of Life will have like 20 species and 50 billion colony forming units. So it's a more potent supplement. And you can't like OD on probiotics because there's been a war waged against that, against our good bacteria. And I'm not going to get too much in this again in this conversation because I have other videos where I talk about it. But when I say a high dosage, it could be like 100 billion, and there are pills that are 100 billion pills or 50 billion. So to get into how much you should take exactly, I would have to work with you and evaluate you. But I'm just trying to give you a general idea of what a lot is. Not 5 billion, but more like 100 billion. Okay. And so you want to start eating fermented foods. That's the other way to get probiotics. Eating fermented foods, like kimchi that the Koreans make, cortado, which is Mexican. The different cultures have fermented veggies or fermented dairy, like really high quality yogurts, really high quality cheeses and sour creams. But you need to get probiotics, fermented foods daily. There's a lot of probiotic foods you can make at home on your own. You don't always have to buy it. Like you can make fermented ginger ale, you can make kombucha at home, but you should be getting fermented foods and taking a probiotic supplement. That's number one, to start beating your sugar cravings, right? Very important. Number two, numero dos, you need to get fat. Add fat to your diet. Add fat. The largest percentage of our calories should be from fat, okay? Fat is where we get our fat-soluble vitamins. We need it to digest protein. Fat is just so important. And fat helps to control our blood sugar levels. So this is why even with fruit, like just simply eating fruit by itself is not really always the healthiest thing. Like if you just finish working out really, really hard, or it's like a really, really hot day and it's really humid, and you're like, oh my God, and so you eat some fruit, like in those cases, it's okay. But generally, thinking that fruit is a healthy snack, not necessarily, because fruit, and it also depends on the kind of fruit you're eating, but fruit is a lot of sugar. And so to counteract that, right, combining it with the fat. This is why my ice cream, again, all of you who follow me, you hear me talk about ice cream all the time, but that's how I love it. That's how I like my fruit salad. And it was funny because when I was in Cuba, there was some ice cream places. Cuba has a big ice cream culture. And there are some ice cream places where on the menu it said fruit salad. And it was like strawberry ice cream and like pineapple ice cream, like different fruit ice cream. I'm like, that's how I like my ensalada de fruta, in ice cream, you know. But you know, you have people ate peaches and cream, berries and cream, bananas and cream, strawberries and cream. People consumed, you know, spinach cooked in butter, yams and butter. You know, you have a lot of cultures. You know, India, there's mango lassis, which is mango and yogurt. A lot of Latin American countries have batidos or licuados, which are like these drinks that are made with fruit and milk. Which I love. That's one thing I like about being in Latin America. That's one thing that I feel like would be hard. This is a side note with me and Asians, that they don't do dairy and I need milk. Milk does my body good. But the combination of, you know, like fruit and yogurt, fruit and cream. You know, people eat berries and cheese. Like combining the fat with the fruit is important. You know, when I make the most fruit that I tend to eat, unless I'm someplace hot, like I'm going to Colombia next week, it's going to be hot as hell. I'm going to eat fruit and I'm going to drink lots of batidos. But, you know, here right now, like I'll put fruit in my shake. You know, I get up, you know, before I work out, I'll make a shake with some raw milk, some raw kefir, some fruit, and the fat helps to counteract that. This is why ice cream, when I say ice cream is a health food, if you're eating good quality ice cream made from good ingredients, but yet that is way better than eating like cake and cookies. Because when you're eating cake and cookies with in pancakes, like I did not eat pancakes until I moved to Chicago. Pancakes and French toast, because Chicago just tempts me with that. But every time I eat it, it makes my stomach hurt. And when you get your bacteria balanced, you don't really crave stuff like that, you know. And then when you do eat something, like if I eat a pancake, like the rare times I'm like, okay, I feel like I want a pancake or a piece of French toast, I can't even eat a whole piece. Like I can't only eat, like maybe I can get like, it's like one slice of bread or one pancake. And I can't always get through that. Because as soon as I start eating it, my stomach starts to hurt. I start to feel hungry. Like that's not food. I don't know how people can eat that as a meal. But all of that stuff, no bueno, okay? Because it's just flour. You're not really getting any nutrition from that. It's just a bunch of sugar. There's really no fat in it. And so sugar without fat, no good, okay? So that's another thing. You want to start adding more fat to your diet. When you add fat, it makes you crave less sugar. A lot of times people crave sugar when they are malnourished, okay? So tip number 1, lots of probiotics daily, high dose of probiotics. Tip number 2, start adding a lot of fat to your diet. And the fats, I'm going to do a video on the healthy fats. I have a video called All About Fat where I talk about a lot of stuff. This was like 7 years ago. You can find it on my YouTube page, The Body Scientist 81. But I'm going to do a video very soon about traditional fats, because that's what I believe in, traditional fats, traditional foods. So healthy fats, you know, grass-fed butter. Grass-fed butter, you cannot get enough of that. You can cook with as much of it as possible. When I make my eggs, I put tons of grass-fed butter. I cook my potatoes in either duck fat. Sometimes when I make my French fries, I fry them in duck fat, which is a very good healthy fat for you, and it's really tasty. Or I'll fry my French fries in bacon fat or lard. You know, when I cook my bacon, I save the fat. I get my lard from a farm. Lard is actually almost the same as olive oil. It's oleic acid. Lard is a traditional fat. It's a healthy fat. It's used all throughout, you know, the Caribbean, South America, North America, the Okinawa, and Japan. Well, it was used in North America before Crisco came along. The food industry came along and told people, don't use lard, use Crisco, which is some imitation lard. Crisco is a problem. But the Okinawa in Japan, the Okinawa are the longest living, healthiest people in the world. And what do they cook with every day? Lard. That's the number one thing. Okay. And the French, number two, they also use lots of lard, duck fat, beef fat, grass-fed butter. Those are all really good. Coconut oil is also good, and palm oil. Those are the out of the vegetables, out of the vegetable fats, you have olive oil, palm oil, and coconut oil. Right, that are good. But again, they all have different makeup, so you can't just eat olive oil and think you're getting enough fat. No, because olive oil is high in monounsaturated fats. You also need saturated fats. You also need omega-3 fats. Olive oil doesn't have all of that. You can't just eat butter. You have to eat a variety of fats to make sure that you're getting enough of the different types of fats that you need. And just doing it on plant fats is not enough, but some people, are going to have that vegan eating disorder no matter what. So if you insist on not eating any animal fats, then you can just simply stick to the coconut, palm, and olive. But there's essential fats that you're not getting when you don't consume animal fats. So I just want to say that. But yes, so that's the other thing. Then, so if you're going to have a piece of bread, for example, try to get sourdough bread. Sourdough bread, and put lots of butter. Lots and lots and lots of butter. If you have to have a cookie, if you have access to raw milk like I do, drink a nice big glass of raw milk to try to counteract it. But really, the goal is not to crave that anymore. Like I could go in any bakery, I don't crave any of that stuff at all. It doesn't even look good to me. The ice cream is a meal because ice cream has egg yolks in it, which is high quality protein, iron, B vitamins, fats. It has, if you have grass-fed cream and grass-fed milk, you have more very high-quality proteins, very high-quality fats, vitamin A, vitamin D, protein, and then you have like salt or sea salt, and then there's sugar. But all that fat from the eggs and the cream and the milk counteract that sugar, so it's not such a big deal, unless you're eating crappy ice cream. But I have a video about ice cream being a health food, okay? And then the third thing that I would say, third tip, is exercise, but anaerobic exercise, strength training, strenuous, intense activity, not jogging, okay? Doing too much aerobic cardio. And I have a video where I talk about the difference between aerobic and anaerobic cardio, also on my YouTube page. So when people hear the term cardio, a lot of times they're thinking aerobic cardio, which is different than anaerobic cardio. So the only thing that cardio means is that your heart rate is up for a certain time period. Your heart rate is up, right? So that can happen aerobically, which is what most people think when they think of cardio, which means that you're jogging at a moderate pace for some miles. You're riding your bike moderately for some miles at a moderate pace for continuously, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, an hour. You're going. Aerobic cardio is continuous and at a more moderate pace. So that's what distance runners do and joggers and stuff, right? But anaerobic cardio, like last night I was in the gym working my legs. And like if you don't give yourself, like if I do some heavy squats and then I go do push-ups and then I go back to doing squats and then I'm doing push-ups. Like while I'm doing push-ups, my legs are resting, right? But then I'm doing push-ups. And so when you squat heavy or you lift heavy, period, but especially squats and leg stuff, you are totally out of breath. Like if you ever saw me when I'm squatting, when I put that down, I can't talk. Like my heart is like this, right? Or if you're sprint 100 meters. You run as fast as you can, you stop. Sprinters walk back. And so even though there's a stop and a start, their heart is like this the whole time they're walking back, where you can't even talk. You're trying to get that air back in. Now you walk back the 100 meters and you sprint again. Like a lot of times people haven't even recovered by the time they get back, So that's anaerobic cardio, short bursts of speed, strength stuff, short rest periods, where your heart rate is still up. Anaerobic cardio will cause you to utilize a lot of sugar and will change your body and your muscle physiology so that you can utilize sugar better. Aerobic cardio, doing all that jogging and aerobic cardio can actually cause issues with your blood sugar. It can cause you to lose a lot of muscle, which I talk about all the time, which is not good. Even the man who wrote the book Wheat Belly, he's a doctor, and he was like on a vegetarian diet, and he was jogging all the time. He ended up getting diabetes and all these other health problems. So like all that distance jogging, Not good for sugar cravings. Okay, that will actually make you crave more. And so you definitely want to get in some intense activity, strenuous activity. Weightlifting, definitely a part of that. And then there could be other things that you do, like somebody might take boxing classes or kickboxing or intense dance classes like African dance classes and stuff, which are powerful, explosive movements that involve strength and power. That will help you utilize your sugar better and not crave it as much as well. Okay? But just know that when you're well nourished and when your bacteria, the gut and your bacteria is in alignment, then you won't crave that sugar anymore. It won't have to be this willpower thing of like, oh my God, let me not do it. Okay, so I hope this helps somebody. If you learned something, please like the video, subscribe to my YouTube page, find me on Instagram, and share it, because sharing is caring. And I'm always available for one-on-one consultations. You can always email me at thebodyscientist81@gmail.com. Have a good day. Thanks for listening. Bye.